I caught my brother cheating with my fiancée. My parents took their side, so I cut them off forever. My name is Ethan Brooks, and for 36 years, I believed family was the one thing you were supposed to protect no matter what. I believed that because my parents taught me that. My mother used to say it every Sunday after church, while she stirred gravy at the stove and my father sat at the kitchen table reading the paper like some kind of judge over our little world. Family is everything. Ethan, she would say. And I believed her. I believed it when my older brother, Mason, broke my toys and blamed me. I believed it when he wrecked my first car, and my parents told me not to make a big deal out of it because he already felt bad enough. I believed it when he borrowed money and never paid me back. I believed it when he flirted with every girlfriend I ever brought home, then laughed and called me insecure when I got angry. Mason was the golden son. I was the reliable one. He was charming. I was responsible. He was the storm everyone forgave. I was the shelter everyone expected to stand there quietly and take the damage. For most of my life, I did. Then I met Claire. Claire walked into my life on a rainy Thursday afternoon at a coffee shop in Portland. I remember it because she was soaked from the rain, laughing at herself while trying to balance a laptop bag, an umbrella, and a cup of coffee she had already spilled on one sleeve. I helped her with the door. She smiled at me like I had done something heroic. That was all it took. Within a year, she knew my coffee order, the scar on my left hand, my fear of becoming like my father, and the fact that I secretly cried during old dog movies. She made me feel seen in a way I never had before. When I proposed to her 2 years later, I did it at Cannon Beach, just before sunset. The wind was freezing, my hands were shaking, and I dropped the ring box into the sand. She laughed, cried, and said yes before I even finished asking. For the first time in my life, I thought I had built something no one in my family could ruin. I was wrong. The first sign came 3 months before the wedding. Claire started acting distant, not cold exactly. Just distracted. She guarded her phone. She took calls in another room. She said she was overwhelmed with wedding planning, and I believed her because I wanted to believe her. Mason suddenly came around more often too. He said he wanted to help with wedding stuff. He offered to pick up decorations, meet vendors, even help Claire choose songs for the reception. At first, I thought it was sweet. My brother had never shown much interest in my life before. Part of me wanted to believe he was finally trying. But there were moments. The way Claire laughed too loudly at his jokes. The way Mason touched her lower back when he moved past her in the kitchen. The way conversations stopped when I entered the room. I asked Claire once if something was going on. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Ethan, do not ruin us because of your issues with your brother." That sentence shut me up. Because that was my fear. That I was broken. That I was jealous. That I was seeing ghosts from childhood. So I ignored my gut. 2 weeks before the wedding, I came home early from a business trip. My flight had been changed because of a storm, and I decided not to tell Claire. I wanted to surprise her. I bought flowers at the airport, drove through heavy rain, and imagined her face when I walked in. The house was quiet when I opened the door. Too quiet. There was a wine glass on the kitchen island. Then another. Music was playing softly upstairs. I called her name. No answer. Then I heard laughter. A man's laugh. My brother's laugh. I walked upstairs slowly, still holding the flowers. Every step felt heavier than the last. The bedroom door was not fully closed. I pushed it open. And there they were, my fiancé and my brother, in my bed. For a moment, nobody moved. Claire grabbed the sheet against her chest. Mason sat up like he was annoyed, not ashamed. Like I had interrupted him, not caught him destroying my life. The flowers slipped from my hand. I remember staring at them on the floor. Broken stems on the hardwood. Water spreading under my shoes. Claire started crying first. "Ethan, please. Let me explain." Mason ran a hand through his hair and said, "Do not do anything stupid." That was the first thing my brother said to me. Not sorry. Not forgive me. Do not do anything stupid. I looked at him and felt something inside me go completely still. "How long?" I asked. Claire sobbed harder. Mason looked away. That was answer enough. "How long?" I repeated. Claire whispered, 6 months, 6 months, half a year, half of our engagement. Half of the time I had been choosing flowers, tasting cakes, paying deposits, planning a future with a woman who was sleeping with my brother behind my back. I turned around and walked out. Claire chased me down the stairs wearing my shirt. She begged me not to leave. She said she was confused. She said it meant nothing. She said Mason had been there for her when I was working too much. That one almost made me laugh. I was working too much because I was paying for the wedding. Mason came downstairs after her, calm as ever. "Ethan," he said. "You need to be mature about this." That was when I hit him. Once. Hard. He fell against the wall, and Claire screamed like I was the monster. Maybe I was, for 1 second. But I did not hit him again. I grabbed my keys, walked out into the rain, and drove until my hands stopped shaking. At midnight, my phone started blowing up. "Claire. Mason. My mother. My father. At first, I ignored all of them. Then my mother sent one message that made me pull over on the side of the road. We know what happened. Come home tomorrow. We need to talk calmly as a family. We know what happened. Not, are you okay? Not, your brother betrayed you. Not, Claire destroyed your engagement. We need to talk calmly as a family. I went to my parents' house the next morning because some stupid part of me still wanted them to choose me just once. When I walked in, Mason was already there. So was Claire. My mother sat beside her on the couch, rubbing her back while Claire cried into a tissue. My father stood near the fireplace with his arms crossed. I stopped in the doorway. Why is she here? I asked. My mother looked up at me with red eyes. Because she is hurting too. Something inside me cracked. She is hurting? Ethan, my father said, sit down. I did not sit. Mason had a bruise on his jaw. Claire would not look at me. My mother took a deep breath and said, what happened was wrong. Nobody is denying that. I laughed once. Good start. But, she continued, we also need to understand how things got to this point. There it was. The word that always came before my pain was erased. But, Mason made a mistake. But, Claire is sorry. But, Ethan, you are angry. But, my father said, your brother and Claire developed feelings. It is complicated. No, I said, it is not complicated. She was my fiancée. He was my brother. Claire whispered, I never meant to hurt you. I looked at her. Then what exactly did you think would happen? She cried harder. My mother glared at me. Do not be cruel. I stared at her. You are comforting her? She made a mistake. For 6 months? Mason stood up. It was not just sex. I looked at him, and he actually had the nerve to look wounded. I love her, he said. The room went silent. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. Claire covered her face. My father sighed, like this was some unfortunate business problem. My mother said, very softly. And she thinks she may love him too. I looked from one face to another. That was when I understood. This was not a meeting to support me. This was a meeting to manage me. They had already accepted it. They had already discussed it. They had already decided that my job was to absorb the humiliation quietly so the family could remain intact. I asked one question. How long have you known? Nobody answered. My heart began pounding. How long have you known? I asked again. My mother looked down. My father said, a few weeks. A few weeks. My parents had known my brother was sleeping with my fiancée, and they still let me plan a wedding. They let me pay deposits. They let me stand at family dinners while they all carried the secret like I was the only fool in the room. My voice came out quiet. You knew. My mother reached for me. We were trying to find the right time. No, you were trying to protect him. We were trying to protect everyone. I nodded slowly. Then I looked at Claire. Did you all think I would still marry her? No one answered. That silence was the most honest thing they gave me. I walked to the coffee table, took off my engagement ring from the chain I wore it on when I traveled, and placed it down. The wedding is cancelled, Claire sobbed. My mother stood up. Ethan, do not make a decision like this out of anger. I turned to her. I am not angry anymore. And that was true. I was past anger. I was somewhere colder. I looked at my parents, my brother, and the woman I had planned to marry. You made your choice. Now I am making mine. My father's jaw tightened. What does that mean? It means I am done. Mason scoffed. Do not be dramatic. I looked at him one last time. You can have her. Then I walked out. This time, I did not wait for anyone to follow. The next week was chaos. Claire posted a vague message online about heartbreak and choosing truth even when it hurts. Mason changed his relationship status 2 days later. My mother called me 47 times. My father left voicemails telling me I was embarrassing the family. Embarrassing the family, not Mason. Not Claire. Me. Because I refused to smile. While they buried the knife. I canceled the venue. I canceled the catering. I canceled the honeymoon. I lost thousands of dollars, but every cancellation felt like cutting a rope that had been tied around my neck. Then I did something they never expected. I sold my house. Quietly. I transferred offices to Seattle. I changed my number. I blocked every relative who tried to lecture me about forgiveness. I deleted my social media. I disappeared. For the first time in my life, I gave my family exactly what they had always taken from me. Silence. The first few months were brutal. I lived in a small apartment with rented furniture and slept badly. Some nights, I woke up reaching for Claire before remembering everything. But pain changes when no one is around to tell you it does not matter. It becomes honest. I started therapy. I worked out. I threw myself into my job. I learned to cook meals that were not just coffee and takeout. I walked along the water every morning before work and slowly became someone I recognized again. 6 months after I left, my aunt found my new email and sent me a message. Your mother is devastated. Mason and Claire are engaged. She wants you to come home for Thanksgiving and make peace. I read it 3 times. Then I deleted it. Mason and Claire got engaged. Of course they did. My family wanted a clean story. They wanted to turn betrayal into romance. They wanted to say, it was painful, but everything worked out. The only problem was me. I was the loose thread. The man who refused to bless the lie. So I stayed gone. A year passed. Then another. I got promoted, bought a condo, made new friends who knew nothing about Mason or Claire. For the first time, I learned that peace was not boring. Peace was waking up without dread. Peace was not explaining your pain to people committed to misunderstanding it. Peace was having dinner with friends who did not turn every wound into a family debate. Then, 2 years after the night I caught them, my father called from an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but I did. His voice sounded older. Ethan. I said nothing. It is your father. I know. A long silence. We need to talk. No, we do not. Your mother is sick. That got me. My grip tightened on the phone. What happened? Stress. Blood pressure. She had a scare. I closed my eyes. Despite everything, I still felt it. That old pull. That child inside me trained to run home when they called. Then my father said, this family has suffered enough because of your stubbornness. And just like that, the child disappeared. My stubbornness? You vanished. You punished everyone. I laughed quietly. You knew my fiancée was sleeping with my brother. He sighed. We made mistakes. No, you made choices. Mason lost his job. My father snapped. Claire left him 3 months ago. Your mother has been crying every day. Are you happy now? There it was. The truth. They did not call because they loved me. They called because the golden sun had fallen. Claire left him. I later learned the details from my aunt. Mason and Claire's relationship had rotted almost immediately. Turns out, a romance built on betrayal does not become loyal just because you call it destiny. Mason became jealous. Claire became resentful. My parents tried to help them financially after Mason lost his job, and slowly, their savings started draining. Then Claire left. Not for love, for a doctor she met at work. Mason spiraled. My parents were humiliated, the family whispered. The beautiful love story they had defended became a public disaster. And now they wanted me back. Not as a son, as proof they had not destroyed everything for nothing. My father said, your brother needs support. I almost could not believe it. After all that, he still said those words. Then support him, I said. He needs his brother. No. He needed a conscience. My father went quiet. Then he said, if you do not come home now, do not bother coming to my funeral. I looked out my window at the Seattle skyline, calm and gray under the morning rain. Okay, I said. Then I hung up. That should have been the end. But people like my family do not respect endings they did not write. A month later, my mother appeared at my office. I do not know how she found me. Maybe through LinkedIn. Maybe through my aunt. Maybe through old emergency contact records. I was leaving a meeting when I saw her in the lobby. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older. For 1 second, I felt sorry for her. Then she saw me and began crying. Ethan. My coworkers looked over. I walked toward her slowly. You cannot be here. I had to see you. No, you did not. She reached for my hand. I moved it away. Her face crumpled. You hate me. I do not hate you. Then why are you doing this? I stared at her. Doing what? Keeping us out. Punishing us. Your father barely sleeps. Mason is broken. I am not well. I nodded. And where were you when I was broken? She looked away. I made mistakes. You chose him. He is my son too. And I was not? She flinched. For the first time, I saw something like guilt in her eyes. But guilt is not the same as accountability. She whispered, I thought you were stronger. That sentence hit harder than I expected. Because it was the truth of my whole life. They hurt me because they believed I could survive it. They protected Mason because they believed he could not survive consequences. I stepped closer and lowered my voice. You did not think I was stronger. You thought I was easier to sacrifice. She cried silently. I am sorry, she said. It was the first time she had said it without a but. For a moment, I wanted to believe her. Then she said, please come home and talk to Mason. And the door inside me closed. I smiled sadly. There it is. No, Ethan. Please. You did not come here for me. You came here for him. He is your brother. He stopped being my brother the moment he got into my bed with the woman I was going to marry. My mother covered her mouth. I said, I need you to leave. She shook her head. I cannot lose you. You already did. Security did not have to remove her. She left on her own, crying into her hands. That night, I sat in my condo for a long time. I did not feel victorious. That is what people misunderstand about cutting off family. It does not feel like winning. It feels like surviving a fire and realizing the house you loved was built to burn you. A week later, I received a letter. Handwritten. From Mason. I almost threw it away. Then curiosity won. He wrote that Claire had destroyed him. That she had used him. That he now understood how I felt. That he missed his brother. Not once did he write, I am sorry I betrayed you. He only wrote, "Now I understand." That was the closest Mason could get to remorse. He only understood pain when it finally belonged to him. I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. Then I went to sleep. 3 years after I walked away, I got engaged again. Her name was Nora. She was nothing like Claire. Nora was steady, kind, honest in ways that were sometimes uncomfortable but always safe. She knew my story before we became serious, and she never once told me I needed to forgive them to be whole. One evening, while we were cooking dinner, she asked, "Do you ever think about seeing them again?" I said, "Sometimes. Would it help you?" I thought about that. Not them. Not the family. Me. Would it help me? And the answer was no. So I said, "No." She nodded and handed me a chopped onion like that settled it. That was when I knew I loved her. Our wedding was small. No big venue. No dramatic guest list. Just close friends. Nora's parents, my aunt, and a few people who had become family by choice. The morning of the wedding, I received one final email from my father. Subject line: Last chance. The message was short. "Your mother and I heard you are getting married. It is cruel that strangers will watch you take vows while your own parents are excluded. One day, you will regret this." I stared at it for a long moment. Then I deleted it. I married Nora under a clear September sky. When I saw her walking toward me, I did not think about Claire. I did not think about Mason. I did not think about my parents. I thought about how quiet love can be when it does not need to lie. 2 months later, my father died of a heart attack. My aunt called me. I sat down when she told me, but I did not cry right away. Grief came strangely. Not clean. Not simple. I grieved the father I had. I grieved the father I wanted. I grieved the apology that would never come. I did not go to the funeral. Some people will judge me for that. That is fine. They did not stand in that living room, while my parents comforted the woman who betrayed me. They did not hear my father call my heartbreak stubbornness. They did not spend a lifetime being told family was everything, only to learn that family really meant everyone except me. After the funeral, Mason sent one text from a new number. "You got what you wanted. Hope you are happy." I blocked him. Because that was the final lesson. Some people will burn your life down, then blame you for leaving the ashes behind. Today, I am 40. Nora and I have a little boy named Caleb. He has my eyes and her smile. Sometimes when I hold him, I think about the kind of father I want to be. Not perfect. Just fair. The kind who does not ask one child to bleed so another can stay clean. The kind who understands that love without accountability is not love. It is permission. I still think about that night, sometimes. The flowers on the floor. The rain on the windows. Claire crying in my shirt. Mason telling me not to do anything stupid. For a long time, I thought cutting them off was the moment I lost my family, but I was wrong. I lost them in that living room, when every person I loved looked at my pain and decided it was inconvenient. Walking away was not the loss. Walking away was the first honest thing I ever did for myself. And if you are listening to this because someone betrayed you, then asked you to forgive them just so they could feel better, let me tell you something I wish someone had told me. You are not cruel for leaving people who chose to hurt you. You are not broken because you refuse to bless their betrayal. And you are not obligated to keep a place in your life for people who only remember your value after losing access to it. My brother took my fiancé. My parents took his side. So I cut them off forever. And in the silence they left behind, I finally found peace.